Hi there, I'm here today to talk about growing your own food. It's a hobby I absolutely love and I'd like you to enjoy it as well. I've got 10 tips to get you into growing your own food, so let's get started. My very first tip is to think about the vegetables that you want to grow. Obviously choose what you love eating fresh. It's so easy to harvest things in your garden, get them fresh, they taste so delicious compared to things that you can buy in the shops. Also think about the price. Some crops actually are quite inexpensive in the shops and they take up space, things like main crop potatoes and main crop onions. Do you really want to be growing these when instead you could be having fresh broad beans, lovely fresh peas and sweet succulent strawberries? Talking about strawberries, that leads me nicely on to number 2. What fruit would you like to grow yourself? It is an investment. It does take a few years to get going, but my goodness, once you've got an apple tree or a peach or a fig in your garden, it will reward you for years to come. Things like peaches and figs and grapes actually will grow really well in the UK. Just position them in somewhere nice, sunny and sheltered. But you've got obviously things such as apples and pears, which once planted and established will crop for you for absolutely decades. Go to a really good fruit supplier, check on things like pollination groups and rootstocks, and you'll be set up for 20 or 30 years to come. Number 3 leads me on to grow your own herbs. These are compact powerhouses of flavour and they will transform your cooking. This is thyme. Another one I love is dill. Basil, oh my goodness, basil is delicious. Please consider growing your own herbs. They take up very, very little space. You can grow them in containers and they are wonderful, transforming your food. Number 4, think about where you want to position your crops. I can't emphasise how important this part is. We all know that clematis like their roots in the shade and rhododendrons like it a bit shady in an acid soil. Think about that for your edibles as well, because things such as peaches and figs and cherries will get such a sweeter flavour and taste amazing if you position them in the sun, whereas crops like lettuce and spinach and rocket will, in the heat of summer, appreciate some shade. So don't just think about your ornamentals and where they need to go in the garden, think about that for your edibles as well. So number 5 is a really important point. I can't emphasise this enough. You need to feed your plants, feed them at the right time and feed them the right thing. My step number 6 is to really think about the watering of your crops. Don't just apply it willy-nilly. Be more mindful about how you water. We're also aware these days of our resources and how to use them. If it's falling from the skies, capture it in guttering and a water butt. It will save you money because a lot of us are on water meters these days. Also, crops have sensitive stages. A little seedling isn't going to need as much water as a huge, big, mature tomato plant. And when crops are flowering and fruiting, that is when they really do rely on us for water. The more water you give them at those key stages, the bigger your harvests will be. So number 7 for me is look after your soil. Your soil is a living creature. It's full of earthworms, wood lice, microfauna, bacteria, fungi. It needs to be healthy and then your plants consequently will be healthy because of that. If you can and you've got space in your garden, make a compost heap. I've got some compost here that makes a wonderful mulch for your soil that will lock in moisture, keeps roots nice and cool and also will keep weeds at bay. Think also about your soil type. I know this can be daunting, so if you are at all unsure, ask your neighbours, because what soil they have, you are most likely to have. So if they're on clay, you're most likely to be on clay. This has an impact upon the nutrient availability to your plants. Weeds don't need to be the bane of your life. Annual weeds, get yourself a hoe and on a sunny day with a light breeze, just literally keep working over the bare soil with your hoe and I promise you those annual weeds will not have a chance to even get established. When it comes to perennial weeds, I find that just repeatedly digging them out and being tenacious about it will allow you to live in harmony, if maybe not completely eradicate things like bindweed and ground elder. Number 9, let's talk about pests and diseases. They do exist, they are out there, and it's only because you're growing delicious produce that they want to have some of the action. Try and think about the life cycle of the problems. You can easily step in and break those, and that is really easy, straightforward, and 100% successful. Also think about resistant varieties. I love growing tomatoes, and if you want to grow them outside, simply choose a blight-resistant variety. Number 10, this is my absolutely favourite part that I've deliberately saved until the end. The culmination of all this hard work will result in harvests. The great thing about growing your own food is you can harvest plants fresh at the perfect point of ripeness. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to go into my garden, see a peach that's hanging there, full size, ripe and heavy with juice. You pick it, you eat it standing there on the spot. It is delicious. Peas the same, sweet corn, courgettes, asparagus, they all taste so much better if you can get them picked and eaten within minutes. So that is it. That is my 10 secrets to grow your own success. I thoroughly encourage you to go outside, get gardening, grow some edibles, some fruit and veg and herbs, and thoroughly enjoy the whole experience.